Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing Missus, where you can find some valuable tips to help you as a small business owner or sole trader to improve your online presence, communicate more effectively to a larger audience. Our hosts are Narelle Gatti. Now, Narelle is an accredited accessibility auditor, and she is really passionate about ensuring that all businesses reach the widest possible market by enhancing their digital communication methods that meet the Australian standards. We have our Jan Roche. Jan's business is BizConnect and also Over 50 Health. And she is about helping small businesses connect with their customers online. I am Janine Vosper. My business is Speech Perfect, and I help women in leadership roles remove limiting beliefs and possess the courage to be able to step up to stand out as an authority in their field of expertise. Sharing her expertise today is Kate Smith. And Kate is a graphic designer for service and experience-based businesses. She helps you showcase your brand to resonate with your ideal clients and increase your bookings. And Kate's from Rove Create. Hey, ladies, and welcome to Kate.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
All right, I'll jump right in, guys. Today, I want to speak about balance in your design. We're speaking about balance in the month of May. So just as you're in Canva or you're even in Microsoft Word or Google Docs creating documents and you want them to look a little bit better, here's just some concepts to think about when you're doing that might just make the difference. So the first thing we're going to talk about is visual weight. So everything, even though it's two-dimensional, has a weight on a page. You can see in our background here, the heaviest thing on the page is the center where our title is. And that was done strategically so that that will be the first thing you see and you read that. After that, it's probably our faces, because depending how close we are to the camera, we're quite large in the picture. And the third thing will be our logos. So once you've seen who we are collectively, you'll see each of our faces, and then you'll be able to see our brand and our business. And that was strategically done to make sure that you get the most important information first and then go from there. So if you're designing a document and you're thinking about the different elements you have, perhaps you've got some text, you've got a couple of photos, your logo, think about how heavy they look. So your title might be the first thing you want someone to read. It's more important even than your business name, perhaps, because you need to catch their eye with this message. You want to make that heavier. So if that means making it a bit bigger, bolder, a different font, try that and see just what that does to the overall look. So this comes down to another concept, which is called hierarchy. Everything on a page has a visual hierarchy, and you want people to read things or look at things in the order that you want them to see them. So this comes down to placement as well as how prominent these things are. It can be color and contrast. So if something's a different color to most everything else on the page, let's give the example of Janine's logo on this page. So pretty much everything else on the page has blues and greens and yellows. Janine's over here with a bright orange logo. She really stands out. So her logo might be the first one you notice when you're looking at our background. So when you're designing, just think about the hierarchy. And this doesn't necessarily mean what's at the top and what's second. Because if you put your subheading much bigger than your top heading, what are they going to read first? It's your subheading. If you have a really big, bright photo or picture or image in the middle of the page, they're going to see that first, even though it's not at the top. But as a rule of thumb, people generally read top left to bottom right. I hope I'm not being mirrored and going the wrong way here.
That was going to be my question, Kate.
Top left to bottom right.
Yeah. Sorry, that was going to be my question, Kate, because people read differently, don't they?
Yes, and actually it can come down to cultural factors too, depending which way you do read in your language. But I guess if we're talking about English in our own culture, then top left to bottom right is a good starting point. So if you put the things that you want to be noticed first, top right, bold, they're likely to get seen first. Another thing I want to talk about is white space. So this is very underrated, and it's one of the things that really sets professional design apart from design that people might do for themselves. So you'll notice on our background, because we're filling up most of our white space, but you'll notice there are still like parts of the background that just give your eye a spot to rest. And white space isn't necessarily white. It doesn't have to be. It can be, if your background is black, the chunk of black that just doesn't have anything else interrupting it, that's your white space. You want to put this in every
Always
ad.
thought it had to be white, Kate, and I
Just put a white box in the corner, it'll be fine. No, it's not how it works. White space is a spot for your eye to rest. So you want to lead people through your document, or whichever way, top left or bottom right. A really great place to leave some white space is your top right. Because after people kind of travel down, their eyes move up. That can give them a moment to pause and consider what they've just seen. And then usually they'll go down the other diagonal and then come up and scan it again. So always just leave a little bit of space in your document for people to have a resting point. This is really important unless you're trying to sell something and your brand is meant to look really frenetic and cheap and buy now. These kind of documents might benefit from no white space because it creates urgency. But I think most of the time we're trying to look professional and a bit sleek. So that white space is quite important for that. I want to talk about alignment finally. So often with professional design, you don't even notice that this is going on, but designers often align things quite strategically. So when you've got a few photos in a document, for example, make sure they kind of line up, either joining so that they are perfectly aligned. You don't want one just a little bit higher than the other. It just does something to your eye that doesn't allow it to rest. Or offset things. So if you've got a few photos and you just can't make them sit all nice and flush, make sure they're kind of
I've had
offset.
that problem before.
Yeah. So if you just can't do it, strategically offset them. So there's one here, one here, one here. And it kind of gives it that appearance of being aligned, even though you can't actually align them. Other things are like text. If you have text on this side of your page and an image on this side of the page, you might want that text to align to the top of that image. And that just creates a visual balance. And you don't even notice this stuff. If you put it down a little bit further though, it's suddenly the page is feeling a bit tilted and it just doesn't have the same balance as if you think about where other things are in your document and align them. Even if it's at the bottom of that image, that can also create a sense of alignment. So just think about where all the different objects are and how they relate to each other. And that will create a bit more balance in your designs. So next time you're playing in Canva, just have a little play with those things. So think about the visual weight of everything on your page. Think about your alignment. Think about the hierarchy of it. And a good way to look at that is to go away from it. Don't look at it for a day. Come back and look. See what you read first, what you read second, what you look at third. And that you can tell what your hierarchy is. When you've been looking at it all day, it's hard to tell, or get somebody who's around and just ask them what they see first, second, and third. Your white space, don't forget to put that in. It's really important. And yeah, I hope that just helps lift your Canva docs or your Word docs just a little bit next time you're building something.
Kate,
That's really cool.
Yeah, do you know what I found interesting is I was thinking back to when I was in uni, and back then we didn't really worry about so much about screen design the first time I did uni, because there wasn't much. Okay, that was back in the early mid-80s. It was more just text related. But I remember them talking about white space. And white space was important. And back then, don't forget, I think the screen background color was black.
Yeah.
Was it? And I think the writing was green predominantly.
Yeah.
Green or something like that. But they still worried about white space. So when you said that, I thought, gee, that takes me back to the second time I went back and thought I better update my degree after 25 years or whatever it was. And then, we were really getting into more about white space, but they never talked about alignment and what you just talked about there. And that must be so important when you design a web page.
Yep. It really messes with my OCD. That's all I kept thinking. Yes, no, I can't have it not. And that's terrific, Kate. All of that information that you just shared then, I really enjoyed that. And yes, the same. It's either, you have it level at the top, or if there's quite a bit more text than what there is in the size of the image, we may have it centered.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Especially in web design.
exactly. Yeah. So and sure, I joke around saying it messes with my OCD, but it is a real thing. Like it just doesn't look balanced on the page if you don't have it set like that.
Can I ask a question? Okay, with the alignment. So you're talking about the horizontal alignment, so it's aligned with the top of the photo. What about the vertical alignment? Is there anything there that you've got to worry about?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
well,
I'll
I
be
mean,
quiet.
What was that?
feel free to weigh in, Jen. So you've got your typical alignments left, right, and center.
Yeah.
You might not have things aligned perfectly in the middle. In fact, with design, you probably want to use the rule of thirds, which is if you imagine your screen and you draw 2 lines across and 2 lines down, then you've got thirds. You've got 9 boxes on the page. And you kind of want to put things in one of those boxes. You don't want to put things smack in the middle. It doesn't quite look right. You might want to put it down at the left-hand or right-hand line, so that creates a visual balance without being actually centered and literally balanced. So then you want to align things under that as well. So you don't want to put your picture on that right-hand line and then your text in the middle, because that just wouldn't look quite right. You might put your text on the right-hand line and your image on the left-hand line to create a sort of flow in the way people see things.
Okay.
So yeah, both ways definitely applies.
Okay.
Anything you want to add, Jen?
And I think, look, as long as you're like, if you stack everything so that they start, like, they have that start or finish at the one point with, say, when we do paragraphs, or if we do have it a bit of a flow, from left to right or whatever down the page, be consistent with whatever you're doing. So, you may have image, text, image, so like with the boxes, you've got a picture here and a picture down here, and text here and, top and right and left, top and bottom, or corners. But as long as it's consistent with whatever you're doing, it looks as though it was by design that you've done it that way. Yeah.
Good
instead
point.
of it. Just instead of throwing it all together and nothing lines up and whatever, it just looks like a dog's breakfast, right? So
just thrown
as
to the page.
long as it looks as though it was meant to be like that, and it has some consistency and flow, I think that's great.
Consistency, great word.
Great advice. I'm just thinking, on my email signature for my weekly blogs, I've got all the social media icons at the bottom, and one of them's not lined up, and I have tried and tried. I've just wasted hours trying to get the YouTube one lined up, and it won't line up. I just end up going, oh, too bad.
It's funny though, like me, I don't have OCD that I know of, right? But
undiagnosed.
Yeah, that's right. But if I see a typo, I get hung up on the typo and I completely get lost amongst that, because, hey, there's a typo. Same with if, there's an icon that's a different size or whatever, and it's just like that. I mean, I shouldn't let it affect me that much, but we are web designers, and even though SEO probably is more important than how something looks to be found on the website, I cannot, in all good conscience, make an ugly looking website.
Oh, Jan, it's the same when I'm hearing people speak, and that, this is like the best thing I, like heard. And I just,
basically.
Oh.
Yeah, it's where our field of expertise is, and we can't.
Isn't it? I'm not
change
that picky, really.
No, great information, Kate, and
Yeah.
backup Jan.
Yes, thanks, Jen.
No, it's really cool and so valuable, incredibly valuable, because a lot of people are doing things themselves because you know they need to be doing it, and to be able to have the advice from experts like yourself is just incredible. And I thank you, because I learn something every single time that we have a conversation.
Actually, to be
Likewise.
honest, I'm going to go and look at my website now to look at my squares.
I've got mine balanced except for one place, and I've tried to figure out how to do it so it works, and I know how to fix it, but it's just been a time thing. But
Yeah.
or else I've just gone, stop it. But the rest of the landing page is good.
Yeah, because you have to balance your mental health against perfection.
Well, that's it.
Well,
And take tiny
Uh,
bites.
yeah. Wonderful conversation again, ladies. Great. Thank you for your expertise. And yes, we are talking balance, month of May, with the Morning Tea Marketing Misses. Remember to check us out. If you found this one randomly, check us out on YouTube as the Morning Tea Marketing Misses, and subscribe. Let us know the points that you enjoyed, the points that you're going to apply from these conversations. We love hearing from you. And that's a bye-bye from all of us. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.